Welcome. This is the lecture covering the scientific translations in one system, many languages, if you want to call it that. I call it universal translation, from scientific terminology to human speak. If you want to know more, check out my other videos. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're exploring a remarkable idea, that the body, the spirit, and science are not separate domains but parts of one unified system. The book One System, Many Languages invites us to see human experience as a single conversation spoken in different dialects: biology, physics, and consciousness. It asks us to look beyond the boundaries of disciplines and recognize that the same principles shaping the universe also shape us. My goal today is to make these connections clear and approachable so we can feel how deeply intertwined they are. Let's begin with the human paradox, the question of how something as physical as the body can produce something as intangible as thought. Ancient philosophers wondered how awareness arises from matter. Modern scientists ask how electrical signals in the brain become emotions, memories, and meaning. The author suggests that these are not separate questions but two sides of the same coin. The body is not a machine that happens to host consciousness, it is consciousness expressed in physical form. Every cell, every heartbeat, every neural pulse is part of a vast conversation between energy and awareness. From there, we move into the electromagnetic nature of life. The body is electric, not metaphorically, but literally. Our hearts, brains, and nerves generate measurable fields of energy. These fields are not isolated. They interact with one another and with the environment. When we think, feel, or move, we send out signals that ripple through space. The author draws on research into biofields and biophotons, tiny packets of light emitted by living cells, to show that communication in the body happens not only through chemistry but through resonance. In plain terms, we are luminous systems, constantly exchanging information through light and vibration. This leads to the idea of resonant frequencies. Every system, from atoms to organs to ecosystems, vibrates at certain frequencies. When two systems share similar frequencies, they can synchronize. That's resonance. It's why music can move us, why emotions can spread through a crowd, and why coherent brainwaves are linked to clarity and calm. The author connects this to both ancient and modern thought. Ancient traditions spoke of harmony and balance. Modern physics speaks of coherence and wave interference. They're describing the same phenomenon in different languages. Now, let's look at the neurological architecture that makes this possible. The brain is not a static organ. It's a dynamic network that constantly rewires itself. The vagus nerve, the autonomic system, and the reticular activating system form a communication web between body and mind. When we breathe deeply, when we focus, when we feel safe, these systems synchronize, electrical, chemical, and emotional signals aligning into a coherent state. This is not mystical. It's measurable. The author's point is that the language of spirit, peace, presence, awareness, translates directly into the language of physiology. The book also explores magnetoreception and interoception, our ability to sense magnetic fields and internal states. Birds use magnetoreception to navigate. Humans may use subtle magnetic cues to orient themselves. Interoception is our awareness of internal signals: heartbeat, breath, gut feeling. Together, they show that perception is not limited to the five senses. We are constantly reading the world through invisible channels, translating energy into experience. This is where science meets spirit. The unseen becomes felt, the abstract becomes embodied. At the heart of the book is the bridge between science and consciousness. The author argues that structural isomorphism, the idea that patterns repeat across scales, connects neurons to galaxies, thought to motion, and self to universe. The same mathematical relationships that describe waves of light also describe waves of emotion. The same feedback loops that stabilize ecosystems also stabilize our inner balance. When we see these parallels, we realize that the languages of physics, biology, and philosophy are describing one system, the system of being. The spiritual dimension here is subtle but essential. Spirit is not treated as something separate from science. It's the organizing principle that makes coherence possible. It's the intelligence that allows systems to self-regulate and evolve. You could call it consciousness, awareness, or simply the capacity for connection. The author uses minimal reference to traditional spiritual models, focusing instead on how they translate into scientific understanding. What ancient thinkers called life force, modern physics might call energy field. What mystics called oneness, neuroscience might call network integration. The language changes, but the meaning remains. As we approach the conclusion, the book invites us to see translation itself as the key. Each discipline, physics, biology, psychology, is a language describing the same reality. When we translate between them, we begin to understand the whole picture. The body speaks through sensation, the mind speaks through thought, science speaks through measurement. Spirit is the grammar that connects them all. The author's message is that unity doesn't mean sameness, it means coherence among diversity. Just as a symphony blends many instruments into one sound, life blends many languages into one system. So, what does this mean for us? It means that every experience, physical, emotional, intellectual, is part of a single continuum. When we study the brain, we are studying consciousness. When we study energy, we are studying emotion. When we study the universe, we are studying ourselves. The separation between disciplines is practical, not fundamental. The deeper we look, the more we see the same patterns repeating: feedback, resonance, emergence, coherence. These are the universal principles of being. In closing, let's return to the title, One System, Many Languages. The body, spirit, and science are not competing explanations. They are complementary translations of the same truth. The universe is not divided between matter and meaning. It is a single, self-aware process unfolding through countless forms. When we understand that, we begin to see life not as a puzzle to solve, but as a conversation to join. Every heartbeat, every thought, every discovery is part of that dialogue, the ongoing translation between energy and awareness, between void and being. So, as you leave today, remember this: you are not separate from the system you study. You are the system, speaking in your own language, the language of experience. And when you listen closely, you'll hear the harmony beneath it all. One system, many languages, one song of existence.